Hello, everyone. Welcome from across this gorgeous planet. We are one communion, many paths, one mountain, where our mission is what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dr. Mark Goffney call the planetary awakening in love through a unique self symphony. And together we declare that the last day of the old face of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. I am Christina Tehel, the co-executive producer, along with Krista Josefa and Kirsten Zohar, and we are so delighted to be with each and every one of you here today. I welcome all the new people. Please do share you are new in the chat box. We want to hear from you. When you do chat to everyone by making sure that your chat settings say all panelists and attendees and not just all panelists. Use the chat function to say hi, to let us know where you're from, and to resonate the Dharma. In one communion, many paths, one mountain. We are connected, we are whole, and we're expressions of the entire process of creation. We are activating a new humanity and we are awakening as a new species. Homo amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapien. We are a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple, a zendo. We are all of it. No one is excluded, everyone is included, and we come together to attune to the evolutionary impulse awakening within us. Welcome home, everyone. We are overjoyed to be with you today in week 209. Let everyone know about One Communion, Many Paths, One Mountain. We are primarily doing this through word of mouth. Leadership around our community is an absolutely sacred opportunity. On YouTube, we are One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/onechurch.world. And right now, we are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. So do take a moment and copy either of the links from the Zoom chat box and share those live links on your favorite social media channels like Facebook or Twitter. After our communion, we will send you an email to invite your friends and family, and go ahead and forward that email right after church. Spend time on our website, www.onechurch.world. On the top menu of the homepage or the bottom of each page, you will find our membership link. Awesome news, a return to Eros, the radical experience of being fully alive by Dr. Goffney and Dr. Christina Kincaid is now also an audiobook. And it's read brilliantly by actor, producer, director, and Center for Integral Wisdom board member, Gabrielle Anwar. I can't recommend this radically inspiring and important book enough. A return to Eros helps all of us recognize more deeply how love's energy literally drives reality. On that note, next Saturday, the night before our gathering here, we are offering a new opportunity to reclaim Eros together in our upcoming online dance party. Join DJ Wim Mertens and the One Love, One Communion community to dance on Zoom. Drop by for a minute or the whole experience. And then also dress up as a dharmic theme like the universe, a love story, or a return to Eros. Next Saturday, October 17th, open to everyone, 11:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Central European time for 90 minutes. The Zoom information will be in your email. Today, right after our live broadcast, right at the top of the hour, we are offering an invitation to take your seat at the table of history as a revolutionary and global activist. In these first principles, first values deep dives, Dr. Goffney will apply these tools to a new story for a new humanity, to public culture, as a response to things like the pandemic and the crisis of intimacy happening in the world right now. With that, I give you a little bit of what to expect during today's communion. We begin with a one communion recap, then Dr. Mark sets our intention, and then Claire will resonate the evolutionary love code that we are working with today. We'll move into prayer, then evolutionary sermons with Dr. Mark, and often with a piece from Barbara. Then Krista will invite us to commit our outrageous acts of love and to contribute our gifts to this revolution. Mark wrote what he called evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied the codes together, often comparing them with Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. These codes grew out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years, crystallizing the new story of humanity. Quote, evolving the course of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. Each communion is a standalone, and every week's communion builds on the week before. One communion, many pass, one mountain is radically committed to telling the new story. So here goes my one communion recap from last week. From the murder of Eros to Homo Amor, love power is the word, and the word is good. The murder of Eros is a fundamental force in society, like cancel culture or shunning, or we are right and they are damned, or everyone else is outside the circle. The murder of Eros is the murder of, or the desire to murder, life force. The murder of Eros comes from our own failures to experience our aliveness, and it disguises a sense of not being enough, of not being seen, of feeling deadened in our hearts. By the murder of Eros, we don't mean the murder of sex. We mean the murder of love. Until we can recognize this murder of Eros, we can't move beyond it to Homo Amor. There is absolutely nothing to assume this is the final species. It will not be Homo sapiens that makes the next step, but rather Homo sapiens is giving birth to Homo Amor. An unimaginable amount of neurons are moving inside of you. There are slightly less neurons inside of you than there are stars, all with a level of interconnectivity that's unimaginable, in which every neuron knows what every other neuron's doing in every second. You're literally a galaxy, literally the leading edge of evolution. The world lives in you. The intimate universe lives in you. Homo Amor knows that reality at the subatomic level is not the only place that quantum reality plays. Homo Amor knows that the quantum world also plays in the macroscopic world. Homo Amor knows cosmos is a field of allurement, or what Dr. Goffney coined last week, love power. Love power, or what Dante called accessing the love that moves the sun and other stars, or the love that is finding its way, self-organizing reality, guiding, moving, opening us up, that actual love that is literally holding our bodies 37 trillion cells together in this very second. The sacred texts are written in our hearts and souls. Hierarchy cannot stand unconditional love. We stop murdering Eros. We celebrate each other. We are delighted by each other. We are in devotion to each other. We all have equal fundamental value. We reclaim power in its integrity, and we reclaim that love itself is filled with power. We feel the full power of that connectivity between neurons, that instant knowing, that eros. We feel it throbbing inside of us, the neurons seeking each other, the allurement, the protons, the hadrons, the leptons, and muons. This is the power of love, taking responsibility, held by forces unseen and mysteries larger than us, taking responsibility for the eros of our unique self. At this moment of ecocide on a planet of finite resources where unimaginable suffering is everywhere, something is happening at the cellular level. We are that transitional species, epigenetics. We are creative human beings becoming whole, and we are incarnating new technologies with radical, telerotic, God-centered love. We are literally, each of us, a force of love unlike any other. And with that, I invite us all to enter into the holy and sacred space of one communion. And I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Mark Goffney.
Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see we were integrating this week material from other weeks as well. Wow. So yay, yay. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for that Dharma recap. Oh my God. Thank you for that recapitulation, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Wow. Let's set our intention. We're here. What week are we in, friends? What week? 200 and? Anybody? Do we got a call on what week number we're in? Anyone going to tell me? No one's going to tell me. Okay, don't tell me. That's totally okay. 209. Yes, we're in week 209. That is shocking and good and wondrous. 209. That means we've been here for 209 weeks without missing a week. All of us together. Barbara Marx Hubbard, right? My beloved evolutionary partner was here with us for the first probably like 120 weeks, right? Right? Unbelievable. Wow. What are we doing here? Why are we here? Friends, why are we here? Why are we here? What are we doing? What's our intention? So write your intention in the chat box. Write your intention. Let's find our intention. And let's just everybody write it. Write your intention. Right? Let's just write some intentions in the chat box. Right? Let's find intention. Right? I'm here. We are here. We are here because we are at this moment, literally poised between utopia and dystopia. We're poised between an unimaginably beautiful future in which human potential and human flourishing can be realized on planet Earth at a level that is literally undreamt of and unimaginable, in which all the future generations in that particularly human way, assimilating, breathing in, integrating all of the wisdom that we've actually accrued through our meeting with reality, through our meeting with life, gets gathered and integrated, and we step into and actually align our interior technologies with our exterior technologies. We close the gap in this generation between the runaway exterior tech of the last 300 years and our failure to cultivate new wisdom, interior technology, to cultivate a genuine evolution of consciousness. We got stuck. Evolution stalled. And I'm going to ask a couple of people are not muted so we can kind of hear some people breathing, which is completely awesome. We love people breathing, but maybe we'll just mute for a second. Awesome. Just to make it easier for everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right? So this gap between interior and exterior technology, it's in that gap that the potential utopia becomes dystopia. Does everyone get that? So what's our intention here? Our intention is to articulate new interior technologies. Our intention is to articulate a new set of first principles and first values. Because it's only first principles and first values that allow us to make every decision we make, allow us to orient ourselves and be the most beautiful, the most gorgeous that we can be. And without first principles, without first values, we have no way of understanding. We have no way of orienting ourselves. We have no sense of what's more true and what's less true, what's of more value and what's of less value. We can't quite distinguish between a sophisticated artificial intelligence, machine learning, android, and a human being, right, who feels. Those two get blurred. We can't quite distinguish between what is integrity and what's not integrity. We can't distinguish between what desire is stunning and beautiful and what desire is not clarified. We can't distinguish between where we should put our energy and time and why we're particularly alive at the particular place we were born and in the particular family into which we were born and the particular time into which we're born with the particular capacities we have. We don't quite know what to do with it. And so we go into a depression, which is the largest and most deadly disease growing faster than anything else in the last 5 years all over the world and exponentialized since the pandemic began. But already the 5 years before, the fastest growing disease on the planet. And depression comes from the inability to access joy. And joy comes from, and today we're going to talk about joy. That's our first principle today, is the first principle of joy. We're going to talk about where does joy come from. But let's just start with this. You can't access joy and what we're going to call evolutionary joy unless you're actually in some sense on purpose. If you're living the life you were meant to live. If you're actually stepping up because you have the capacity. And if you're here with us, if you found us and we found you and we found each other, then you have that capacity or you wouldn't be here. You're actually stepping up and taking your seat at the table of history. You're stepping out of the small concerns, as important as they may be, and the petty concerns that need to be jettisoned. And you're saying, I want to take a seat at the table of history. And at this moment, as we stand between utopia, this unimagined beauty, and dystopia, a devolution, right? A level of suffering and collapse that's virtually unimaginable, which could end in extinction itself quite easily in multiple scenarios. Right? We're at that pivoting point. We're at that phase shift in human history. We're at that time between stories and time between worlds. But that's where we are, right? And so when we finish today at, and I'm going to watch the time so we can finish on time today. When we finish today at 2:00 Eastern time, which is, I think, 11 o'clock Pacific time, and it's a Europe time, it's a Holland time, it's a Spain time, it's a Asia time, wherever we are in the world. When we finish at the top of the hour, we're going to, for the next 8 weeks or so, just do a 15, 20-minute introduction every week to the larger vision of First Principles. And then we're going to start a genuine First Principles podcast a little later in the year, right in the new year. But first, we're just going to introduce just for like 15, 20 minutes each week at the top of the hour. We're going to do a short First Principles conversation about what First Principles and First Values are and why they matter so enormously much. Wow. So what are we doing here? We're here to make a revolution. We're here to actually take our seat at the table. We're here to actually be those who say we take responsibility for this. And our position is that we've thought about day and night is that the most revolutionary act that we can do, the greatest moral imperative of this time, is to articulate a new story. Right? That at this time between worlds, right? At this time when we are, as Da Vinci was in the Renaissance, as the Black Death engulfed Europe, pandemic spread unlike any other. And the old vision, the old story, the old values didn't hold. They broke down. Pre-modernity was ending, and the world could go into dystopian collapse unless a group of people came together and they actually took a second look and they went deeper and they opened their hearts even more and they stepped into the very field of evolutionary joy itself. They were animated by the aliveness of that joy. And as we're going to see later today, and we're going to say it again, there's no contradiction between joy and a broken heart. Joy and a broken heart live together. They breathe together. They pulse together, right? So with utter joy, right, and a wild broken heart, with wild joy and an utter broken heart, Da Vinci and his cohorts went to revision reality, right? To participate, to be evolution, to be the leading edge of evolution, to be in their bodies, right, in their hearts, in their minds, in their very souls, to be evolution's arrow, right? To be the evolution of love. And that's what they went to do, right? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to actually ontologize love. We're going to ontologize first principles. We're going to actually make real, as they did in the Renaissance, in this moment, right, this new vision of what's possible based on the best integration of pre-modern, modern, and postmodern thought woven together into a new intimacy. And a new intimacy means a new connection of the separate parts into a larger whole that's novel, that's new, that's never been seen before. And we're going to do it not in a kind of surface or superficial, either fundamentalist way or new agey way. Right? We're going to do it with our full hearts and full passions, full commitment to read every text, to span world literature, right? To span the disciplines, to integrate, to swallow it whole, and then to integrate it together into a universal set of first values and first principles that are actually a story which allows us to realize that what unites us is so much greater than what divides us, and that we actually have a North Star, and that we actually have telos, we have purpose, and that actually telos and eros come together, right? And our universe is actually telerotic. It has direction, right? It's going somewhere, right? It has purpose, but not pre-modern purpose, not purpose owned by one religion. It has inherent purpose, inherent direction, right? That evolution is actually evolving towards the good, the true, and the beautiful. And that we are that evolution awakening to itself, every single one of us here, right? In this broadcast, in this conversation, right? In this many paths, one mountain, right? One love, one communion. So are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready to be revolutionaries? Are we ready to be evolutionaries? Are we ready to be lovers, to be outrageous lovers? Are we ready to realize that we live in a world of outrageous pain, and the only response to outrageous pain is outrageous love? So we're a band of outrageous lovers, and we are committed together, humbly, we're imperfect vessels for light, but we are absolutely radically committed to participate together in the evolution of love. So are we ready? Are we ready? Are we beyond ready? Are we ready to rock this out, right? For the sake of reality, to take our seats at the table of history. So we're ready. Oh my God. So let's do it. Here we go. So we got a new code this week. In the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about joy. So Dr. Moliner, right, from France, from Corsica, right, give us the code for this week. Take us inside. Oh my God, here we go. Replacing pinch hitting for David. Yay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mark. It is my great joy to be resonating the code this week. And so I'll start reading. Joy is the first principle of cosmos. Joy is the inner core of reality. Evolutionary joy is the highest form of joy. Joy cannot be pursued, or it runs in the other direction. Joy is only available as the natural byproduct of the passionate pursuit of something other than joy. Joy is the opposite of depression, and there is no contradiction between joy and the broken heart. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Professor Moliner from Corsica, right? Yay, I mean, you got that code? And let's keep putting that code in again and again, right? Into the chat box. We'll be able to see it and we'll be able to feel it. Okay, wow. Wow, so amor. So at the core of joy is amor. And amor is love. Amor is eros, right? Joy is actually a quality of eros. And what is eros? Wow. And this code is huge. What is eros? Right now, let's write it together in the chat box, right? Joy is a quality of eros. And what is eros? Right? Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, but not static aliveness. It's moving, it has direction, it has telos. And it's moving where? Right? It's moving towards, right? Joy is the experience of radical aliveness, moving towards ever, right? Ever what? Ever greater, ever deeper levels of what? Of what? Of contact and of wholeness. That's eros. Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, moving towards ever deeper levels of contact and ever greater wholes. That's the movement of eros. Wow. Right? And eros is love, is amor. It's actually the ontological quality. It's a first value. Eros lives in the allurement between subatomic particles. Eros lives in the first nanoseconds of the Big Bang. Eros is the inceptive force that is cause for that moment of Big Bang and for all moments. Eros is the animating force of the four forces of cosmos, the strong and the weak nuclear, the electromagnetic, the gravitational. Eros is that moves me. And I'm a unique configuration of eros, and the clarification of my unique eros, right, is the story of my life. So that's amor. So let's go to amor. Let's go to our amor chant that we do every week. And every week we do a recording of someone in the community who made an amor chant, right? This is, right, we're not great professional singers. We're great souls, great human beings, great lovers. So whoever makes a recording, it's gorgeous. And we receive it with like mad delight. So let's hear it, right? Take us inside. Yay, Rob, thank you. Gorgeous, right? Is that gorgeous? How much who could feel that, right? So Rob, he wasn't singing Amor, he became Amor. Right? And there's no one who could, right? This couldn't have been done better, right? If it was in Madison Square Garden or, the Sorbonne's biggest theater with the best, drummers and the best percussionists and the most perfect, right? Pitch couldn't have even come close, right? That's what happens, right? So Rob became Amor. It's like, wow, right? I become Amor, right? Amor, at this quality of love. So Eros has this quality of Amor, this quality of love, and it's got this quality of joy. And we're going to talk today about joy, and our first principle today is about joy. You can't have joy when you're alone. There's no joy without intimacy. Right? And knowing that we live in an intimate universe, and knowing that, number one, life's not over when it's over. Jung, right, the great and complex, right, figure in psychotherapy, was complex. He had moments of tragedy. He also had moments of greatness. And in his moments of greatness, Jung wrote, one of the most important things I share with my patients is I need them to know of the immortality of the human being. And that is essential, he writes, for their mental health. I want you to get this, it's deep, right? If you think that basically when you reach age 90 or 80 or 70 or 40 or 85, right? But when you reach that age, you die and it's over, it's virtually impossible to achieve mental health, to achieve joy. Right? Because you've got this false understanding foisted, downloaded into you by a dogmatic, materialist, reductionist, not science, nothing to do with science, but scientism, a kind of dogma. And how can you actually have joy when you actually have this experience that it's never going to be fair and justice is never going to be achieved, and you're going to lose all the ones that you love forever? How could you actually be in joy? How could you actually have mental health? Not possible. It's deep. Right? Unless you actually have an experience of the larger field of consciousness, unless you actually have an experience that you live in an intimate universe that is coherent, you can't access joy. You certainly can't say anything about evil, right? There's no trouble with evil. There's no problem of evil unless the world is good, and unless I live in an intimate universe, unless the world should be filled with joy, so that if it's not filled with joy, it's a violation. If the world's not intimate, it's a violation. And part of knowing, right, friends, right, outrageous lovers, beloveds, right, to each other, right, and to reality, and reality to us, part of knowing that we live in an intimate universe is knowing that reality is personal. And this is deep, right? That reality is more personal than we can possibly imagine. We participate in a quality of personalness, right? There's the personal quality of Christina Amline, who read beautifully, right? And gave this, the Dharma recapitulation. And then, Professor Molinare, right, from Corsica, right, who resonated the code, right? And then Rob, right, who did Amor, and Krista, who we'll hear from later, and David, who we often hear from, right? Right. So each one of these are personal qualities, and it's in their personalness that we get the fragrance, right, of their spirit, of their value, right, of their godness, if you will, of their infinite gorgeousness, right, of their quality, whatever word you want to use. So when we talk about the divine, when we talk about spiritual, when we talk about godness, we're not talking about the God who was hijacked by a church seeking power. The God you don't believe in doesn't exist. We're talking about the godness. We're talking about the infinite value, which is both the force that runs through cosmos, the force of Eros that animates all the four forces, the force of Eros. See if I can get a sentence straight. that animates all the four forces that we talked about in the beginning. And that force, that third person force, that it, is also a thou. It's also a you. But there's also a direct and intimate personal relationship between reality and me. Reality is so close to me. Reality is whispering in my ear in every second, literally. Reality knows my name. And when you get quiet, you can feel it, right? When you feel your self-value, when you feel the importance, right, of your journey in this world, you realize you matter, and you realize your journey is unique, and you realize that you were intended by reality. And see if you can access that. You were intended. The intimate universe is not just a network of third-person interconnections and forces. The intimate universe is more personal than personal. The intimate universe knows your name, right? And imagine, let's just shut our eyes for a second and do the meditation that we do every couple of weeks. Imagine all the third-person forces of reality moving through the universe, right? All of the forces of physics and all of the forces, right, that break out of physics, electromagnetism, right? All of the quantum fields, all of the Higgs boson particles doing the mysterious and strange things that they do. All of the forces, right, known and unknown in reality, right? All of that which moves dark matter, right? All of the gravitational fields and all of their permutations, the strong and the weak nuclear, all of it moving over, right? Billions, hundreds of billions of galaxies in this universe, right? In multiverses, right? All of that infinite vastness moved by exponential, super exponential, super infinite zeros, exponential, dazzling complexity and beauty beyond anything we faint in rapture, even beginning to imagine, right? The mere fragrance of it. All of that third person sitting in a chair, all of it sitting in a chair, looking at you and saying, oh my God, I'm madly in love with you. I care about you so much. And I intended you. I need you. You're actually an expression of me. And I find myself in my relationship to you, says the infinity of intimacy to us, in a way I don't find it in any other way. So when the infinity of intimacy, right, talks to Christina Kincaid, right, she finds herself in a way that she can't in any other way. And then when the infinity of intimacy talks to Ken Wilber, right, the infinity of intimacy finds herself and meets herself, just like when I talk to a person. You know, I talked to Jack from high school, right? Hey, Jack, right? I talked to Jack from high school. I experience a part of Mark I don't experience any other time. Then I talked to Lisa, right? There's awesome Lisa, right? That I knew when I was 25. Lisa calls the other day. Wow, I talked to Lisa. I'm like, so excited to talk to Lisa. Then a part of me comes forth that never came forth before. And then I'm talking to Howard Bloom, and I'm like, wow, I'm talking to Howard. And then a different part of Mark comes forth. We all have that experience. In our real relationships, they cause a new dimension of ourselves to show up. So the infinity of intimacy, sitting in a chair, looking at us saying, I intended you. I love you madly. I care about you. I'm devoted to you. And I need you. And you need me. And so ask me for everything. Right? That's what prayer is. And in prayer, we turn to the infinity of intimacy, to the ultimate personhood of reality, and we explode with joy. We explode with joy because we realize that in the very fabric of reality, we're not alone. And we were never alone. And we're held. In every place we fall into the hands of she. And she whispers in our ear, madly devoted to us, madly in love with us, madly desiring us. And that's not metaphor. It's not poetry. It's the actual prose. It's the actual interior scientific reality of cosmos. So we're about to pray. And we're going to do our chant that we do every week before prayer. And Leonard has agreed to be with us, Leonard Cohen. And when we come to pray, it means we pour ourselves into our intimate beloved, the infinity of intimacy. God is the infinity of intimacy. Wow. Think about that. Right? Religions talk so much about God as the infinity of power, but we lost actually access to the interior. Right? God is the infinity of intimacy. The God you don't believe in doesn't exist. God is the infinity of intimacy that knows our name. What would it be like to live in a world where everyone knew that truth and was held by that truth? We actually partnered with the divine, and we created a world unimaginable. That's another first principle, right? The intimate universe and the divine force as the infinity of intimacy that knows our name. So let's go into Leonard Cohen and let's sing with him. Then we'll come back. Let's pray like we've never prayed before. Oh my God. Leonard Cohen, right? The holy, right? And the broken. Hallelujah.
Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Right? And hallelujah is joy. So let's meet in the chat box. Radical joy. And if you look at the code, there's no contradiction between joy and a broken heart. But there's a contradiction between joy and depression. In depression, I'm closed. I'm not open. And I can't feel the life force. In a broken heart, I'm quivering and trembling with aliveness. So a broken heart and joy live together. They're part of the same reality. So with full joy and in full broken heart, right, the holy and the broken hallelujah, we turn right to the infinity of intimacy and we ask for everything. And with your permission, I'll read the prayers. Ronaine and everyone, let's find our way here. And let's actually pray like literally we've never prayed before. Ronaine, I pray that I may continue to transform into the new human I'm here to become, Homo Amor. Yes, as I complete the Unique Self book. Oh my God, Ronaine, and that was a beautiful picture this morning. Ronaine, Homo Amor, right? Oh my God. And Tom speaks to the joy of transformation. Feel the joy of the utter trembling joy of transformation. Lady J, right? What beautiful writing you did in the last 24 hours. I pray that I may live every second of every day broken, fully open as the evolutionary joy of all of cosmos lived uniquely as Jacqueline, right? I don't have to say any dharma. Everyone's saying it, right? Oots, oots, oots. How are you, oots? I pray for melting into the superpower of innate joy, right? Terry, I pray that I live looking at reality with the same eyes that reality is looking at me. And reality is looking at me with joy. Right, Lynn, welcome. There's no contradiction between joy and a broken heart. They live together as part of the same reality, right? What a prayer. Right, I pray for joy to pour through me into the hearts and minds of all sentient beings coming together and joyful, right? Suzette, I pray to have words that open the broken hearts and fill them with joy, right? Amen. Suzanne, I pray that the pandemic stops itself, right? Amen. Right, for every broken heart around the world, and we're holding every single broken heart, and we're holding joy because we can only act with joy, and we can only be activists with joy. And the revolution can't become bitter. Does everyone get that? When the revolution becomes bitter, when it becomes self-righteous, right, then it loses its direction, it loses its power. Right, even when we're literally holding all of the brokenness, we've got to break it open and hold it with joy. Not frivolity, not kind of casual fun, right? Not a running away from, but a turning towards. And that turning towards in which we tremble, right? With evolutionary joy, with the joy that animates evolution itself. Shahati, right? Enoch, I pray for a beautiful open house, right? For Paul and me, amen. Right? Shahati, I pray, right? Thank you, Enoch, passionately to Goddess, right? To be in clarity and focus. Yes. Veronica, I pray to find greater and greater courage to embrace my own humanity every day. Paul, welcome, Paul. It was great to see you at Dharma Circle. I saw you got knocked off, and I hope you made it back. I pray to live my hallelujah. Jamie, I pray to live outrageous love as the infinity of intimacy. Yes, G, welcome. I pray for access to being fully alive. Krista, I pray for our band of outrageous lovers may take over the world in the best, most gorgeous way. Rob, thank you for that beautiful, right? Beautiful. I pray that God may sing and speak through me all the way till I die and ever after. And Rob, the study you're doing now is awesome. And it's animating you, and you're going to bring something that no one else can bring. And Christina, I pray humanity makes it through this COVID pandemic stronger and wiser, right? All right. And filled with joy, right? Suzanne, filled with joy and a broken heart at the same time. I pray that everyone live with outrageous love, right? And in Enoch and Joycey, pray for joy and fulfillment of purpose. Camille, I pray, right, my heart to fill with joy and love power, right? Intimacy, right? Bonnie, I pray that all fires along our West Coast are put out, right? And I pray for rain and for love consciousness, right? And Lynn and Suzanne and Joycey, right? And JDB, I pray for a world full of amor, intimacy, and peace. Nancy, I pray I can express joy every day, right? Forward, right? Oh my God. And then let's wrap these prayers together. Not just the prayer in this communion, but it's the prayer of the communion, right? One love, one communion. Many paths, one mountain, right? One mountain, that's our name, one mountain, right? It's one mountain, many paths, right? But it's literally one mountain. And the mountain is made up of first values and first principles that are a story greater than ever. So let's go into today, Mosa, Medea, right? Thank you. Let's go in today's, right? Just have a few minutes, and I want to end on time, and I want to play something for you before we end. So let's spend a couple of minutes, right, on today's first principle. And maybe we can put it in the chat box again, right, so we can take a look at it. Okay, right? A new code today, right? So let's read it together. Okay, can we read it together? Right, joy is the first principle of cosmos. Does everyone get that? That means that joy is not a psychological construct. Right? It's not, happiness is not, right, this social construction of reality. Happiness is not just a fiction. Yes, there are different things in every generation that bring us to joy. And there's an evolution of wisdom in terms of what true joy actually means, right? And there can be a kind of false joy, a kind of pseudo-eros, a kind of pseudo-joy. But the experience of joy, right, cuts across cultures and cuts across generations. There's a moment in which we feel at home in cosmos, and we're awake and we're alive and we're filled with joy. Right? Joy is the first principles of cosmos. Joy is the inner core of reality. And evolutionary joy is the highest form of joy. Okay? So what does that mean? So let's try and find it. We usually understand joy, right? You ask people, okay, when are you going to have joy? When are you going to really be in joy? When are you going to be happy? But genuine joy. And I remember I was 22, 23 when I started asking this question, right, in teaching. And people would say to me, well, you know, I'm okay. I feel like, you know, some contentment, but if I was going to be in joy, you know, I would have gotten my PhD. I would have this job. I would have married this kind of man. I would have these kids. I would have this amount of income, right? And I remember being in a particular town when I was maybe 23, 24, giving a talk. I think it was in Raleigh, North Carolina, in the United States. And a bunch of years later, I made it back to Raleigh. And I came to the same hall, and lots of the same people were there because it was a particular congregation. And I thought, well, let me ask them. This was like, you know, 6, 7, 8 years later. You guys remember when we talked 7, 8 years ago? And I asked, you know, what do you need to have joy? And everybody gave different little lists. So how many of you have achieved your lists? And amazingly, it was one, you know, we were all in our, people are 20s, 30s. It's an age where a lot moves. So most everyone would raise their hand, you know, 7, 8 years ago was there and had actually achieved most of the things on their list. And so I said, okay, so are you in joy now? And you can imagine the room went quiet. So it was very clear to everyone that even though they'd achieved their list, they weren't in joy. Does everyone get that? Joy doesn't live out there. Joy's never a reaction, right? Joy isn't, I didn't have something, now I have it. So now I'm in joy, right? Joy actually is the fabric of reality itself. Reality itself trembles with joy. The inner fabric of the subatomic and atomic universe trembles with joy. It experiences allurement and pleasure. And when it finds rightness, when it finds right fit, when it fulfills its inherent purpose, when it experiences its inherent aliveness, those atoms that live in us, that live in you and me, those atoms are not out there. They live in us. They constitute you and me, literally, right? We are those atoms, right? We are those molecules. We are those cells, right? Cells are literally explosions of joy, right? The cellular world explodes with joy. And you can actually, when you actually watch cells in action, right, it's like you can actually feel when you watch actually all the different components of the cell, when a cell is functioning in a healthy way, right, you can actually, right, experience, right, the actual joy that every cell experiences. And that's what makes us up, right? We actually live, right, our natural experience when we get through the twists, when we get through the cravings, when we get through the contractions, the clenches, when we unclench, when we actually rest in the natural nature of reality. We rest in who we actually truly are in our very nature. And then, that's not enough. Then we need evolutionary joy. That first joy I just described is the joy of being. Then there's a joy of becoming. That's evolutionary joy, in which I'm actually reaching towards my unique purpose. Just like the subatomic particle is living on purpose, I'm reaching towards my unique purpose. I'm giving my unique gift, right? I'm literally incarnating that pulsation, right, of gifting, right? That is evolution awakened in me, right? That's evolutionary joy, right? When that begins to happen, so joy literally rocks and moves reality in an unimaginable way, It's there. Joy is actually available every second. You can't pursue joy, right? That's the code. You can't pursue joy, right? Maybe we can find the code right again, right? You can't pursue joy, right? Joy is the highest form. Joy can't be pursued, or it runs the other direction. Joy is only available as the natural byproduct of the passionate pursuit of something other than joy. And what is that? That is literally living my unique story, right? Living my unique self. Just like the subatomic particle lives its unique destiny, and the plant lives its unique destiny, and the animal, right, lives its unique destiny, right? And the natural aliveness of the forest and the aliveness, right, of nature in all of her resplendent magnificence. When I'm living my destiny, when I'm aligned, when my clothes fit. Have you ever had like great clothes that like fit perfectly? Who's had great clothes that fit perfectly? Just like, wow, these clothes just fall on my body perfectly, and I just feel like larger than life. Who's ever had that, right? You ever had that experience? Right there. Who's it? Chat box. I'm checking out great clothes in the chat box. Yes, anybody else? Right? Just like fantastic clothes. And you're just like, oh my God, right? Not for any reason, right? You're in yourself. You fit, the clothes fit. You're in your story. Right? Then, oh my God. So to get to joy, we're going to talk about joy for the next 3 weeks. We're going to go deep into joy. We're just beginning. We're just touching the surface of joy this week. We're not going all the way in. We're just touching the surface of joy. Right? So joy is the byproduct. You can't pursue joy. In the American founding documents, there's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the pursuit of happiness doesn't work. It's the great mistake, right, of the modern neoliberal world and of the founding fathers. You can't pursue joy. You got to pursue, right, living your unique self. Living, right? Who is the one in joy? Who is the one in joy? The one in joy is the one who's joyous in his unique destiny. That's a 3rd century text. Joy comes from living your unique destiny, from wearing the right clothes, from going all the way in this lifetime in your story, and from knowing that your story is not an isolated story, that your story is chapter and verse in the universal love story. So we're going to do a meditation now, everyone, okay? Our last 5 minutes, we're going to do a meditation. We just opened up. Who feels like we've just opened up? We're just getting started, right? And who can feel it? We're just opening up into this notion of evolutionary joy. We can't actually change the source code. We can't activate this revolution. We can't step in at this moment between utopia and dystopia unless we do it with radical joy. And we're going to have to find our path to joy even as our hearts are broken. Even as our hearts are broken, even as we're experiencing sometimes pain beyond imagination, right? There's no contradiction between joy and pain, right? There's no contradiction between a broken heart and radical joy. They live together, right? I sometimes say that we laugh out of one side of our mouth and we cry out of the other. We're brokenhearted in 1 second, and the very same second, the very next second, we're filled with joy. Because joy comes not from a circumstance. Joy comes from the very experience of being fully alive. I look at the ocean and my mind is blown open and I feel this, right? Music, right? Accesses joy. So I want to invite you to come with me, and I want to ask everyone, this is our last 5 minutes. I want to ask everyone, we're about to see a vision of Ode to Joy, and we're going to talk about it and see another vision next week and another one the week after. And we're going to look at Schiller's Ode to Joy, and we're going to go deep into the great traditions, pre-modern, modern, and postmodern. We're going to articulate joy as a first principle. But for now, I want to end, and I want to show you, with your permission, this clip, like this Ode to Joy. And I want you to watch the people's faces. And then we're going to come back. We're just going to talk for 1 minute in the chat box together. Then we're going to take a 1 second break, and we're going to do 15 minutes of first principles. But let's take a look at this now, okay? And we're going to hear from Krista, right? And we're going to just take a look at this, right? This is Ode to Joy. Watch the faces, watch it happen, and let it move through your body and see what it means, in which joy is not because I got something. It's not because I filled in the emptiness. It's not fun. Joy is not fun. It's not, right? Fun's beautiful, but joy's so much deeper, right? Joy's right there, right there, right? Whispering in your ear, trembling in your body, trembling in reality. So take us inside. Christina Amelon, take us inside to Ode to Joy. just like, what did you see? Right? Did you see the faces of the people, of the little boy? Or did you see the girl climbing up? Did you see the people gathering, right, to watch? Now, what happened there? If there wasn't an event, no one got a new car, right? No one got a new job. What happened? You get that? That is the joy of reality itself. It's reality's true nature exploding, right? Ode to joy, right? It is, right? The very joy of life itself, right? Joy's never about something. Joy that's about something's not actually joy, right? That's actually something else. It's a form of pseudo-eros. It's a form of cover-up. It's not that we can't have joy when we get something. Of course we can, but it's really about knowing that it's always, reality trembles with joy. And if I just let myself become, right, I'm on purpose, right, I'm living my story. And that story can have agony and ecstasy. It can have a broken and a holy hallelujah. But I know my story matters. I know the infinity of intimacy loves me madly. I know that my story is chapter and verse in the universal love story. Then, oh my God, ode to joy, right? My very being, my very becoming is literally, right, joy every second. Joy is, right, the radical aliveness of cosmos. And here's the thing. Music discloses the nature of the intimate universe. If the joy wasn't there, right, how many people felt it? Just show of hands. How many people felt it? Anybody? Who felt it? Give us a yes. Who felt it? Who felt it? Who else? Right? But a yes, caps. Yes, 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 right? Total, right? Yes, like explodes, right? So where'd they take it from? It was there. They just opened the door, right? Wow. Right? I want to close with one little thing, okay? Right? And then we're gonna hear from Kristen. We're gonna do first principles, okay? Or actually, maybe we'll just one text from the 3rd century. Right? The text says, all the gates are closed, right? All the gates are closed, but the gates of tears are always open, right? So the masters say the gates of tears never close, right? Like, wow, that's like big. But then the most hidden masters, commenting on this text, they say, yeah, when your heart's broken, the gates never close. But when you're in joy, it doesn't matter if the gates are closed because joy breaks through all the gates. Do you get that? Like, yes, a broken heart opens, right? A broken heart, all the gates are open. The gates never close to our broken hearts. But we're in joy, my friends, right? It breaks through all the gates. It breaks through all the limitations. Right? This is a moment of breaking through limitations. This is a moment of writing a new story. This is a moment of being evolution awakening to itself. And the evolutionary impulse is thrilling. Right? We're delighted in every moment. We're blowing open. Right? The moment loves us open. When the moment loves us open, we love the moment open. And in this dance, right, we feel reality kissing itself with joy. Wow. Wow. I'm going to give you the last text. This is a text from different versions of it, from the 1st century, the 4th century, the 7th century, right? Different mystical traditions, the 13th century. But basically the text says that the inception of reality was the Ashua, right? The Shakti, Sanskrit, Hebrew, right? The trembling joy of the infinite. And in the text, it's actually the autoerotic joy of God. Right? God causing divine pleasure, the self-pleasuring of divinity, the joy of divinity's arousal of desire, exploding with joy, births reality. Wow. Right? Your joy births reality. Right? Embrace your joy. Right? Fall into it. We'll fall into it together. We're going to be outrageous lovers. We live in a world of outrageous pain. We never turn away. The only response to outrageous pain is outrageous love, and outrageous love is filled with outrageous joy. Like, wow. Cha. Okay, so let's hold it right here. Krista, give us the overview, how we can step in, how we can move, how we can become and make this ours and be this joy and be this revolution, then we're going to do 15 minutes of first principles. Lady Krista, filled with joy. Ciao.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark. We are filled with joy, and I'm sure we can all feel the importance, the radical importance of birthing this first principle of joy into the world. And I want to share with you the major shift that I'm experiencing right now in my life more than ever, and that is the experience of the joy of making a contribution. I myself, I come from this new age world where it was all about personal development and what can I get out of it? How can I grow? And more I'm experiencing myself shifting to asking reality the question, what can I contribute? How can I contribute more? So this is my invitation to you, to all of us, to join us, to make your unique contribution. So I want to dive straight in and show you our beautiful website. If you go there, all the way on the top, you can find the membership tab. And this is your way to step in to make a financial contribution, because this is our revolution and all of us are needed to participate. So we invite you, you can make either a one-time donation right here, or you can choose to step in even deeper and make a monthly contribution. All of the money that we contribute together goes into growing our communion together and building this revolution. And even though making a contribution is a great joy, of course, we want to give you even more gifts if you step in to become a member. So if you do, you will get access to all these 9 beautiful courses. As I've shared before, some changes will come up soon, but right now these 9 courses are still available. And these are hours and hours of in-depth study with Dr. Mark Gaffney and Barbara Marx Hubbard. And we actually, in our membership, you can also join our online community on Facebook, where we share insights. We also have members creating study groups together. So there's a lot of places where we can meet each other and study this important Dharma together. If you are on our website, please also take a look at the watch page. This is where all the videos will be posted. Every week we create a beautiful replay from this weekly gathering that you can look at here, but we also create beautiful clips with our awesome editing team. So every week there will be new clips uploaded here, and you can just scroll through them and get your inspiration. And these clips are short, and that makes them also very easy to share with your friends. And that is another awesome way to step in and make this revolution yours, is to invite your friends to join us here every week live, but also to share these clips on your social media and with anyone you think might be inspired by them. If you're watching this on Facebook Live and you haven't signed up yet, go to our homepage and sign up right here. That way you will receive our weekly replays also in your email, and an invitation to join us live on Zoom, where our community is very active in the chat box, and it's a really great way to connect with each other. Then we have here our page where the books are. Dr. Mark Gaffney spends a lot of time writing the great library, as this is one very important part of our mission, and all of the books are published here, so you can take a look here. This book is by Barbara Marx Hubbard, Unique Self, Your Unique Self by Mark Gaffney, A Return to Eros, and many more. So please make your contribution also by buying these books and studying this Dharma. As we are looking right now at A Return to Eros, I actually want to show you again. We listened to a little piece last week, but let's actually listen again, because the exciting news that we have is that the audiobook of A Return to Eros is now ready, and it is narrated by none other than actress, producer, and director Gabrielle Anwar. So let's just listen together how beautiful that sounds.
Sex models Eros. Erotic sex models what it means to be radically alive in every single facet of our lives. This is the new sexual narrative that is an affront to shame. The Secret of the Cherubs shows us the way to erotically reweave the very fabric of our lives in more vivid patterns, sensual textures, and brilliant hues. This is the path of what we have called Hebrew Tantra. Hebrew Tantra is both the invitation and the divine demand that we re-eroticize our lives.
Wow, doesn't that sound amazing? And don't you just want to listen to more? Just click on the link in the chat box where you will find the link to this audiobook. It is on Amazon, as you can see. So right after our gathering, go ahead and order your version of it. Then let's go back here, because last but not least, our main practice here in One Communion, Many Paths, One Mountain is committing outrageous acts of love, because through our outrageous acts of love is actually how we are going to become this revolution in the world. And on this page, you can read all about what outrageous love is, how you can commit your outrageous acts of love. So please take some time to read this, because this is one of our main beautiful projects, and all of us are invited to share our outrageous acts of love on our Facebook page, which you can also find a link to right here. I can't see it myself right now, but it is here. And that will take you here to our Facebook page, where all of us are posting all throughout the week very inspiring stories of outrageous acts of love that we have read about on the internet or that we committed ourselves. And this is also a beautiful way to stay connected to our community and share your outrageous love with the world and with each other. Thank you so much for being with us here. I can't wait to see you again next week. And with that, I give my word to you, Dr. Mark.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Thank you for coming together. Right? Have the most gorgeous week ever, 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 ever.